Nobody was prepared for AI agents because we don't know it. It's a brand new. You have to learn it. So there's no playbook. Like I had a question, how is AI going to fundamentally change my work? And I couldn't sit still until I found out. So I started building and I kept learning. And I think that's the point.
How do you stay up to date with AI news?
I don't.
Welcome back to Future Ready Lawyer, AI and the Evolution of Legal Practice. My name is Mark Bennett and I'm here with Amin Ali Madani. Just a little bit of news. As you can imagine, doing a podcast is quite a lot of work, and Alex has a very large workload in her job doing all the amazing work that she does, and so she doesn't have capacity to continue as a co-host. So we'll just continue with me and Amin. This episode, we're really delighted to welcome Helen Fan onto the podcast. Helen, could you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Helen and I'm a California lawyer working at a boutique law firm in Silicon Valley. I'm also a legal AI enthusiast. So I'm keep posting some experiment about OpenClaw recently. And I'm also a community builder. So my community is called the Silicon Valley Legal Tech Frontier Community. And it's a cross-border community, and we already have 1,000 members across the US and China.
Yeah, and you're very active on LinkedIn, sharing some of these insights and showing people how you're building that community. And it's really inspiring to see this experiment you're doing with your legal AI lab. So we'll get onto that in a moment. But first of all, we just wanted to get a little bit more about your background. So you're a California lawyer based in San Jose, practicing cross-border transactional work, but you started off in some of China's largest law firms. So what was that like, and how did you make that shift across the Atlantic?
Yeah, very glad to share my own experience. So I started my legal career in China. I studied law at Tsinghua University. It's one of the top 2 universities in China. So after that, I worked at Founder Partners, which is one of the top law firms in China. I was doing M&A and financial regulatory work. So many of my clients are large international financial institutions, such as Morgan Stanley. And I worked as a secondee in Citibank for half a year. And after that, I came to the US for my LM at Columbia. And the timing was perfect. ChatGPT had just come out and I started using it heavily. So I entered 2 legal tech hackathons and led both. One hackathon was hosted by Tsinghua University. I built a cross-border data compliance tool. I joined the hackathon remotely. That tool used AI to help clients generate binding documents for China's government on cross-border data transfer between China and US. And at Columbia's hackathon, which I think was their first legal tech hackathon ever. So I built a legal assistant for minority groups, and I got second place in both hackathons. So these 2 projects were the turning point for me. I wasn't just reading about AI anymore. I was building with it, solving real legal questions. And I could feel how fast things were working. Well, the curiosity really started, this feeling that AI is going to fundamentally change how legal work gets done. And it's happening now. So and after Columbia, I moved to Silicon Valley to get reunited with my husband. And I started doing cross-border transaction work and venture capital things, stock financing, fund formation, very typical Silicon Valley legal services. And I realized a huge chunk of my clients are AI founders and builders. So they have a very typical thing. They trust the AI deeply. And here, moment that I think changed everything for me. I was on a Zoom call with a client and discussing a vesting schedule on the California law. And I told him, a 4-year vesting with 1-year clip is definitely a very standard practice. And he was like, he didn't believe me. So he shared his screen and opened the ChatGPT, typed the same question there just on the call. So to cross-check my answer. And then he said something I've never forgot. He said, even if you are right, my employees are going to ask ChatGPT anyway, and they will trust that answer more than yours. So that was the first time I felt maybe one day AI is a real threat to my authority as a lawyer, not because I'm smarter, but because, people just trust it. And that one curiosity turned into anxiety. Like, can the work I'm doing now today actually sustain? So, yeah, that mix of curiosity and anxiety is what pushed me to act. So I started my legal app. It's not a real company, it's just a personal brand or personal studio, whatever. I just, I want to put my name on it because I want to make it as a serious thing. I committed to doing some real exploration about AI. So, yeah, out of that legal AI lab, so came the community, the meetup, the podcast, and the experiments I'm doing now. So everything I do starts from a question I can answer on my own. Can the work I'm doing today actually sustain? Yeah, that's pretty much about my background.
I really love that idea of curiosity and anxiety. I think it's exactly what most lawyers are thinking, obviously in different measures. Some have got more anxiety than curiosity and vice versa. But yeah, I think it's a great state to operate in and want to see what's happening out there with AI and see its capabilities. So you mentioned that you've got this Silicon Valley legal tech frontier community and having these meetups
Yeah.
in Silicon Valley and also on the other side of the Atlantic. What kind of conversations are you having there, and how are they changing how you're thinking about AI and law?
Yeah, so I think big one, AI adoption in legal work is much more uneven than, and I in about structural things, not cultural things. Like first, I think like big law firms still run on billable hours, and when AI makes you faster, that's actually a threat to their revenue. So what I say is they read hourly rates to compensate, but they are not fundamentally changing the model. They are not embracing flat fee. They are protecting the old structure. But for smaller firms, middle-sized firms, boutique firms, that's where things are actually moving. Like fixed fee or flat fees are already becoming the trend. And these firms don't have the luxury of raising rates. So they have to get more efficiency. So I think they adopt AI more. We just saw this with the Cloud Code native law firm post. I think both of you have read it. So the viral post about the Cloud Code native law firm. Yeah. So that's a small law firm with only 2 people, not a big law firm. And about the in-house legal, I also have my observations. I think because they are a cost center, so they need to do more with less. Big tech companies build internally, like Google has their dedicated engineering team just to optimize their legal department. So sometimes they don't need vendors. So the real opportunity for legal AI vendors, I think, probably lie in middle-sized companies or middle-sized firms, the ones that need efficiency but don't have the engineering resources to build it themselves. Yeah, that I've been able to see these patterns because our community has a lot of lawyers, senior legal counsels, and of course, senior engineer managers in big tech companies in Silicon Valley. So these observations come from real conversation, not from reading reports. Yeah. Oh, one thing else, because my community is a cross-border community, so I have like the observation of both U.S. market and the China market. So I've seen different things in Beijing, like China's legal tech market runs on a different engine entirely. The main players are the government and the courts. So I wrote a full article about this on my Substack, where legal tech in China evolves differently from the US. I'd recommend it to anyone who wants to study AI adoption structurally, not just to compare 2 markets, but to understand how different systems shape adoption in fundamentally different ways.
So we'll put that in the show notes, and I'm sure many of our listeners will want to check that out to get some of those insights.
Helen, so you have published an AI native law firm roadmap. And can you tell us about the origin story of OpenClaw Law LLP? But before that, we just want to make sure everybody is on the same page. Would you tell us what does it mean when we refer to AI agent, and what is OpenClaw in particular?
Yeah. So OpenClaw is an open source platform that you can run your AI agents. And what makes it different from ChatGPT or Claude is that, so ChatGPT is more bot. You ask a question and you get an answer. It's very simple. But agents or OpenClaw, they're something like your own personal assistant that can really do something for you. Like it can collect with your files, the website, your emails, your calendars. It can book a meeting for you. It can buy tickets for you. So it's totally different things. And I think it can act on your behalf. It's not a chat window you open when you need something. Yeah.
Yeah, so technically it would give a language model access to like your files and internet to take actions on your behalf. And OpenClaw has made it easier for people to arrange that. All right. So would you tell us about the origin story of the OpenClaw Law LLP?
Yeah, very happy to share. So it started because I was using Code, which was fine, very good tool. Then OpenClaw hit #1 on GitHub just within 2 months. And I think, okay, I had to try it. So at first I set up a clean Mac, installed OpenClaw with a new Apple account. So there's no my personal data in it. And then I connected 2 agents through Discord. I give them roles. So I have one called Morgan. So Morgan is my senior associate, and Cleo is my first year associate. So I have 2 agents. And I gave them a real legal question. I said, how can I set up an AI native law firm in America? Lawyers can hold equity. So this is a hot topic. And I figured I'd guide them step by step, but that's not what happened. Like within minutes, they were scoping the research, dividing the work, setting deadlines, and just talking to each other like a team. And what is most surprising is that Morgan told Cleo, like Helen is building a business. She doesn't just need to know what's possible. She needs to know what's prudent. So that's when it stopped feeling like a chatbot. That's when I thought, okay, that's a law firm in a group chat.
That's so interesting that you're saying that you use 2 AI agents and they work together. So these are kind of the new trends at the moment when people use the models at higher level, and a lot of models not only plan, but also communicate with each other and then take actions. You said you described watching Morgan assign tasks and then Cleo flag issues, and the 2 of them build together. How did that change how you think about supervision and responsibility in agentic environment? Like, because they're taking action, right? And sometimes they may send an email or invite someone to a meeting or something that you didn't mean to. How that made you think differently about supervising and responsibility in terms of agentic AIs?
Honestly, it's about panic. Then it came with curiosity, and then more panic. I will take sub-agent as an example. Like initially, I didn't notice my agent can spawn more sub-agents. Cleo found it by itself. Cleo did an invitation in one of her tools. So instead of stopping, she diagnosed the problem, listed 3 options, and proposed spawning a sub-agent. And I didn't even know that it was possible. As a builder, yeah, it's definitely an incredible moment. You have parallel research, shared context, complex questions running simultaneously. But as a lawyer, I will think, okay, who's responsible when an agent creates another agent? Where does the accountability end? So that's when I realized the lawyers now have a completely new job. You have to write security rules for your AI. What permissions does the agent have? Can it read files outside its sandbox? Can it write real data? So I had to write rules. Write something like, only if it's necessary, you can spawn more sub-agents, and sub-agent cannot spawn more sub-agents because only one layer. And when you decide to generate sub-agents, no more than 3. So I just set up a lot of guardrails to control it in my scope. And I think these security decisions lawyers have never had to make before.
Yeah, it's such a great way of describing that. We started with anxiety and curiosity. Now we've got panic, curiosity, and panic again. And I think any lawyer who maybe has just been playing with ChatGPT, Claude, possibly even deep research with it, which is a kind of agentic AI. So you're getting a little bit of a sense of, okay, now when I spin up a Claude deep research, it tells me, okay, I need some sub-agents to go away and research the different things. And maybe that's fine. But this idea of, okay, I've got to buy a whole new computer because who knows what's going to happen with this thing. And then I've got to see what it does and on the fly come up with further guardrails. You can see why it's such an important thing for someone like you to be setting this up as an experiment and sort of seeing what can go wrong. And we've seen a lot of people talking about what can go wrong with OpenClaw, deleting all of your family photos was one classic example. So yeah, that whole Mac Mini idea where you just get a whole new computer, whole new Apple account, no personal data, that seems to be something that reduces the panic somewhat. But just it's quite interesting to think about how this technically works in a little bit more detail. So these agents are being spun up. Their brain sort of is an LLM, right? Like, so you're connecting in with one of the main providers. Like, how do you figure out how to do that? You install OpenClaw, but how do you decide how is it going to run exactly? And how do you pay for that as well, right?
So just to put it in more context, when we are using OpenClaw, we don't have the kind of restrictions that we usually have in normal generative AI models like ChatGPT or Claude, because they predicted that the models may just talk too much, and they put kind of safeguards to stop it. Especially when there are 2 agents, which means a model is taking 2 different persona. It seems it's talking to someone else, so that conversation can go forever. And because these things are being automated, and the whole purpose is so you put it on and they go and do the task, and we are not observing all of them, that can be quite dangerous and costly.
So the way you've set up these 2 agents interacting with each other, like how do you set that up? Because I know that we have these ideas of skills or soul MD instructions that the LLM will be applying as it, does its agentic functions. Is that how you put those guardrails in, put those personas in, and set it up the way you want it to work?
Yes, because first I make Morgan thinking more like a business advisor, not just a senior associate. Because sometimes long litigation lawyer, so most of my job is to find the common place between the business side and legal side. So I like to know why Morgan and Cleo just get an argument, so I can see where the business side ask for and where the legal side ask for. So I can see trace back their arguments and to find I think the most suitable solutions for my clients. Morgan can set risk flags and rules, thought about how to present option before I ask it. That's pretty much what a senior lawyer can do, but I just put it a step further, so it can work like a business advisor. It can search on some business news and analytic resources to help me to get a more comprehensive picture of a legal question. And that is why I want to split one agent to 2 agents. And the other point is that you have multi-agent, you might reduce errors because it makes errors traceable. So when 2 agents disagree each other, you know exactly where to look. And my job shifted from review everything to review the disagreements first. I will give you one example. During the first assignment, I asked them about how to set up an AI native law firm. And they just got an argument about, I think it's really like the model of LegalZoom is a native law firm. And Ben thinks says yes, but Cleo just pushed it back. And when I traced back to it, and I thought, okay, maybe there's no clear answer in on their research. And based on my research, I also that is a very a big point. The practicing and the academic or whatever not totally resolved. It's not clear. So I can tell the blind spots the AI may have, and it's also may become something that not being really resolved in practical world.
It's really interesting, and I'm interested in how you work as part of that team. Like you can see what they've got up to, what their debates were, and then obviously you go back and look yourself at the materials they're mentioning and come to a human perspective. Do you then get back into the debate and point them in another direction? And also another question related to that is, as you are in this kind of dialogue or observation of what your agents are doing, how much do you go back in and change the instructions from when you first wrote them? Like how much of an iterative process has that been? Or did you get it right the first time?
I will not change my instructions often, but I will change the soul.md often, because every test you can find it cannot work as you expect. And also I will ask them to generate more skills. Like I will say, okay, so what you learned today, and can you tell me, what your thought about my input? So in this way, I can get a self-learning data, like the skills and the other day updated skills. So the skills can be updated by the agent itself. And yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Just in terms of those two concepts, and we've mentioned it before, but the Soul MD, what role does that play?
I'm not a tech expert. I have no tech background at all. And for me, I will take it as something like you ask your agents to do some behavior rules. And yeah, like about the agent rules, what I just described before. So I just write these rules into the Soul MD. But someone will write those rules in agent MD. I don't know, but I'm not a tech person. I have to say that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and then the skills are particular.
The skills is more like, how to write a memo, how to have a better research. Because I remembered the first draft they delivered a very bad memo, like a very messy, I have to say. And then I asked them, okay, you have to have a bullet point, you have a very real citation, so I just list the rules and it follows. And because after that, I keep continue iterating. I continue educating it to how to perform better. So after several rounds, and it learned how to write a better memo, and I will say, okay, now you can update the skill, so you can use it anytime.
Such an interesting iterative process where you're giving feedback basically in a way, like it's not reinforcement learning, but you are figuring out ways to make the agents do better work and give them better instructions for those subtasks they're doing. Like it's just an amazing new way to work that we're just trying to figure out. And
if you get a chance to look at my 5-step roadmap for a native law firm, what I'm doing now is definitely the layer 3 self-learning data layer. I think, what most people are doing now are still using AI as a chatbot. They cannot imagine in an agentic way, in an agentic world, then that you can see that all the things will be changed by agents. So only if you try it, otherwise you cannot know how it goes.
So just to do a quick recap to make things clear for our listeners, when it comes to agentic AI, it's technically a normal generative AI with a specific prompt to take some actions and access to various things. Like we can create an agent, which is technically, for instance, ChatGPT, and we explain how it's supposed to access our calendar and set up our meetings and send us a notification. We can create another agent to do research, and we say, first you got to go on Google Scholar and then here and there and then collect them. So it's just, we provide them with a clear prompt and access to whatever we want them to access, and that becomes an agent. And when it comes to some rules that we want to define for agents or restrictions, we can save them in files, but these are, again, very much technical programming. So yeah, in programming, you can save files. We call it, let's say, sol.md, which means that the agents know where to go and get the rules whenever we run them. They look at the rules first, and we say, go and check sol.md. So that's how we refer it. The name could be anything else. So it's just a file name. And when it comes to skills, it's technically, it is a perfect prompt to do a task. You can ask it to draft a contract, and you can write this very long and clear prompt that how it's supposed to do it step by step. And you save it as a skill. So when I say save it, it means next time you don't need to write it again. We call this skill the drafting contract agent or something like that. And some models automatically identify when you're asking, I want to draft a contract, and this is the basic information you need for it. You don't need to say that, go and use that skill. The models know this person wants to do this, and I need this skill to complete the task. So they just go and pull out the file and read the whole prompt that you have written and execute for you. So Helen's work shows us language models, they are not limited to chatbots as we usually use them. We can go way further, but it comes with also risks. And understanding those risks is very important to help preventing disasters. As Mark said, we have had cases like the models deleting files. Like you say, I want to clean my computer because things are not organized, and the model thinks the best way to do it is to delete everything because that's the cleanest way I can make this computer. So sometimes there are this type of misunderstandings, and in the last few months, we've seen some cases like disaster like is actually happening. So it's not like a sci-fi anymore. So having experience and understanding the risk, I think the way Helen explained, is extremely important.
So Helen, you mentioned your 5-level value stack, and this is another amazing insight that you've gotten from your experience with using generative AI and using agentic AI. Could you walk us through what are these levels from 1 to 5?
Yeah, so that's pretty much a theory about the real value live in legal AI world. And I think about it in layers, and I call it the legal AI value stack. We have 5 layers here. If you sketching it in a whiteboard, and you have 5 layers, and there's an arrow points up. So in the bottom level, the level 1, I call it a raw AI capability. So there's nothing unique left, and it's just pretty much you use ChatGPT, Claude, like raw AI capability, everyone use it, right? Level 2, I call it AI plus workflow. AI plus your like lawyer's workflow, and you have a very pretty like UI UX, and you have some templates in it, some fantastic prompts already saved in it. And to the level 3, I call it a proprietary data layer. There is some real defensibility because that's not something about your client's data. It's about the data that how lawyers use your software, like negotiation patterns, the preference about the clause. That will be a real defensibility, but it's still transitional, and which means you can switch it to another very quickly without much cost. And so we come to the level 4, I call it a system of record. I believe it's the strongest defensibility today. For example, I will say like a Cleo and the Fire1 and Practice Panther, so like some management platforms. So the switching cost is very high, and lawyers and the law firms will operate on it every day. And I think levels 1 through level 4 are all pre-AGI strategies. They slow down the race to the bottom, but they don't stop it. So I think the only real mode is level 5. I call it a hybrid model, or someone will call it like an AI native law firm, AI native legal team, whatever. The principle is that stop selling software to law firms, become one law firm. So because AI handles everything that will scale up, but humans will always handle the trust issue, the accountability, the judgment, So the scarce resource isn't intelligence. It's about accountability, I believe. Because AI cannot take the liability. When something goes wrong, someone needs to be accountable. But now AI companies ship with very perfect disclaimers. But lawyers can carry malpractice insurance. Software alone can.
There's a lot of ideas in there to help the listeners understand completely. When we're talking about value, who's capturing that value? Is it the same each level of the stack, or is it different?
I think when I talk about value, it's more like how different legal AI companies can resist to the competition with LLM companies like Cloud, ChatGPT, and how they can survive during this competition. And I think because most of these theories are developed after the Anthropic legal plugin. At that moment, many people kind of panic about the thing because they say, okay, no sales at all because AI, the LM providers will take all of the market. And I don't know if you remember at that day, we have very, big drop down in the US capital market. Most of the SaaS companies are influenced. So yeah, at that moment, I just posted the first draft of the theory and then got, I think, 30K impressions after one post. And I think, okay, wow, it's so many people feel impressed. So I just continue to iterate it and I have a full analysis on it, and I just posted it in my Substack. It's a full analysis.
So how does that analysis relate to what a lawyer should be thinking?
Yeah, so that is pretty much the theory behind the open clause law, and I have explained it in my LinkedIn. So I just flip this theory. So each layer can flip into a specific step. If just a regular law firm wants to transform into an AI native law firm. So the first step is based on basically a raw AI capability. So I think it's a table stake. Every law firm, I believe most law firms are using AI every day. So for the second layer, the workflow. So I think the law firm should use AI agents to transform its workflows. And the transform doesn't mean you just use AI like what they are doing now. They are still in the chatbot era. And now I think, like I said, now agents can spawn more sub-agents. You can do the workflow in a parallel ways, and you can gather results for different issues simultaneously. And that's something will never happen before. So it's a totally different theory, and you should to figure it out. And that's just one example because I think one agent developed along the day, and you will see, I think it can do more magical works than bots. Yeah, and so we come about the third layer, about the proprietary data. Just to talk about the way I train my agents to generate or to update the skills by itself. I call it a self-learning data layer, as all of your knowledge can be updated by AI, and you have to transform all your knowledge into something that AI can eat, and then it can just digest it and get something new. And the things will be recorded in the system, and it become a cycle of your data. So that would be a very big transformation, and I think it's a very key point, which is different from what you see in the chatbot era. And so about the level 4 in the legal AI value stack, it's about system record. And I think, when you flip into the step 4, my roadmap to an AI native law firm, it becomes something I call it you just, make agent as your fundamental system. You do your IT stuff, your tech stuff, your HR stuff, your marketing stuff, all the things you will rely on agents to help you. You have different, and Currently, I have Morgan and I have Cleo. They are senior lawyer, associate, and junior associate. But I mean, gradually, I can have a team, like someone who are dedicated to security issues in the law firm. And I can have some agents who can help me to deal with the immigration issues for my employees. So yeah, so basically all the things you can based on agents. And finally, we get into the level 5. I think it's you cannot just go directly into a level 5, but you can go through from step 1 to 3, and naturally you will get into level 5. And it's also the step 5 to become a real AI native law firm. Yeah,
it's mind blowing as you talk about it. No, it's a vision of some of this is the present and some of it's the future. From that law firm perspective, do you see the most efficient or the most likely path of the law firms to be helped along the way by some of these major legal AI players? Do you see some of them maybe shifting to build their own, or is that just too difficult even for the biggest law firms to start trying to do a massively technical and complex security sensitive?
yeah. I think I will definitely a supporters of the middle-sized law firm and boutique law firm. I think they will resources of the innovation, the ideas, all the innovative ideas may come from these small law firms. Because in the big law firm, I think they have very strong IT teams already. They have Lagra, they have the most fantastic legal AI products. But the point is that I think they are still struggling with billable hours. If this model will still exist, I do not think there will be a big change for them to have something really transformative. But for the smaller firms, I have my own observation. Like many partners in the middle-sized firms and boutique firms, they tell me they wanted more AI in their daily work because first, it's hard to keep billable hours. They have to have more flat fees projects. And second, they really think maybe AI can help them to reduce the hiring of the new grads. I don't know, is it the same in big law firms, but that's what I hear recently.
Okay, so Helen, following what you said, that you heard that some law firms are looking into not hiring junior lawyers because
Yes.
like AI can do it, why they should pay a human technically. So it would save them a lot of money. What would be your advice for the law students who will graduate in a few years or even earlier? What skills do you think matter the most for them when it comes to this new emerging agentic AI world?
Nobody was prepared for AI agents because we don't know it. It's brand new. You have to learn it. So there's no playbook. There's no degree for it. So I have no tech background. I can't write a single line of code. And yet here I am running a multi-agent law firm experiment in public. So I think the real driver every student should have is an preparation, it's a curiosity. Like I had a question, how is AI going to fundamentally change my work? So and I couldn't sit still until I found out. So I started building and I kept learning. And I think that's the point. So in the AI era, your past experience, what you learned in law school might not even count. So pre-LLM legal technology may not work too. I think a lot of it doesn't apply anymore. Everything's new. So the only thing that really matters is, are you willing to keep learning? Yeah, that's also actually why I do the OpenClaw experiment in public, because I want people to see I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of things I don't understand, but I show up every week and I learn something new. So
Yeah, and back to that idea of the anxiety or the panic plus the curiosity. And I know that a lot of law students are very, they often want to know the right answer. And part of what law professors are trying to get them to see is you've got to be happy and comfortable and curious in the uncertainty. And now we're just transferring that over into these new technical tools.
Yeah, just to add something to that, I think law students should understand the world is changing very fast, and the type of knowledge or skills we traditionally thought law students will need or are invaluable are not as valuable anymore. And they should be very open-minded about learning skills that are not directly associated with black letter law. It has nothing with case law or legislation. It is about understanding how you can use these new skills and tools to get the knowledge about the law. And the process is becoming way more important than what it was before traditionally. And yeah, I do have students, some of them go to law firm. And even when it comes to using their digital technologies, like the messaging app that they use is not something that we use every day. And they struggle to use them. And they realize that, oh, okay, when working in a law firm, it's not all about law. So we have come to the end of this episode. And we would like to thank Helen for being very generous to spend this time with us and share her experience with us.
I really enjoy our conversation. Thanks for having me. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.